I also heard actually recently, I think on the radio, but to wear a bike helmet.
Yeah.
Have a bike helmet on your head. Yeah. And I would have never been something I would have thought of, because honestly, growing up in the area that we're in, my parents always told me, don't worry about the tornadoes. It'll never hit here. We live in kind of like a valley.
Oh, it's me.
It's me. I'm the problem. It's
My bad. Okay. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Dear Dilemma. We hope you had a good week and weekend, I guess, because today's Tuesday. So we just want to throw that out there. Sometimes we get confused on what day and where we are.
We don't know what's going on.
Sometimes who we are. But we have a new submission for you today, and that is Hannah.
Okay, don't judge.
Oh.
But we will never judge you, whoever you are.
Sometimes. Okay. I'm just kidding. We don't.
Okay, don't judge. But this spring season's weather has really freaked me out.
Facts.
Especially the tornado outbreaks. I heard it's just going to get worse, and my anxiety cannot take it. Do you have any tips to help keep calm during bad weather? Your girl needs it.
Hannah, take it away.
Well, I'm kind of nervous about the tornadoes and stuff. I feel like they've touched down like active. A lot more. And obviously, like, we live in the Midwest, so I don't know. I think
we're
it's
in Hoosier Alley. Did you know that's a thing?
Hoosier Alley?
Mm-hmm. So you know how there's Tornado Alley?
Yeah.
There's Hoosier Alley.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Me neither. And then there's, I think they call it like the Carolinas Alley or something like that.
Oh. Well, I feel like they're more frequent. Even though they've been more frequent in our area, I still feel like they're more frequent in other areas too that have like never had them before.
Well, I saw the statistics of how many tornadoes have been in each state so far of this year, and it was like an insane amount. It doesn't make sense, but they're saying that Tornado Alley and all that shifting more towards like us. That's why.
Interesting.
Like New Orleans and places like that don't. I'm not saying they don't typically get them, but you don't think them as Tornado Alley. You think Oklahoma and all that.
Well, you know,
Oklahoma was like the dead spot for it.
Well, did you watch the Joplin tornado documentary yet?
Yeah.
I cannot believe. Sorry, this is like a little off
This
topic.
is what I was going to say. Like, I'm not a good one to answer this because I love thunderstorms and I want to see a tornado. I don't want it to hurt anyone. I would rather it be out in a field far away. And I'm not picky.
You and my husband can hang out on the front porch
I'll take a water
together.
spout.
Oh my God.
I'm not picky. I'll take a water spout. I just want to see one.
Okay, but did you watch the documentary?
Yeah,
there was
really
a guy that literally got sucked up inside the tornado.
And lived.
Yeah, and lived to tell the tale. That is insane to me. Like, God had to have had such a plan for him because there's no other explanation. Like, how do you get sucked out of a car, you get thrown around, and you still live?
Crazy. I also think that for us, luckily, where we live, we are not affected by, yes, the warnings happen, but typically they come to a town close to us, they lift up, and then they drop in Ohio, right?
Well,
oh, sorry.
No, you're okay. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it doesn't affect us until when that tornado hit up near Winchester.
Yeah.
And I went and helped.
I remember, yeah.
That was the most intense, sad, but like mind-blowing to physically be there, not during it, but this was the day after, 2 days after, to see the damage. It looked like you walked onto a movie set. Like, it was because it's like, how does it hit that house? But it doesn't hit that house. It's 10 feet away from it. And why is that one gone? But the dogs still lived, and they were next to the house in a cage outside. Like, it just...
Tornadoes will never make sense to me for that reason specifically. I remember when that Winchester tornado came through, and I had somebody had told me a story about what had happened at like their friend's house down the road.
They were there?
Well, when they got back to look at their house, like, or came out of the closet or whatever, wherever they were, and I'm sorry, I don't have all the facts, but basically,
you're doing okay.
Basically, there were these two candles that were lit on the fireplace mantle
when it hit.
Yeah,
because it was cold.
Tornado completely wiped out everything,
but those
candles were still
lit.
lit. I'm like,
how?
I'm like, there's no way. Like, that doesn't even make sense. So I don't even know how that could have happened. Like, I almost think that that's like not a real story. But I remember,
no, I've seen it.
I just remember going, like,
not that.
There's no possible way. Like, the amount of wind and like, how does that even happen? How do they not get blown out?
I went into a house. One of the people there were like, come in. Like, he really wanted us to see the damage, and he was also mind blown because he was like, his back doors were completely destroyed and the wall kind of gone. And then, but then like little like glass figurines were still there. Or like a house, we pulled a wall, the house wall off of the bed because the cats had survived. No roof, most of the sidewalls of the whole house gone. It was just like,
oh my gosh.
And we pulled and I'm like, how, picture's still on the wall, but the whole roof's gone and the half the wall's gone. How does that make, it just doesn't make any sense. And I know we're not helping your anxiety.
Yeah.
But these are the questions that we have is Mother Nature and how powerful she can be and how they pick and they choose of what it hits and what it doesn't hit and how a guy survives being sucked into a tornado and how someone doesn't survive from being sucked into a tornado. Like the Joplin, wasn't it the Joplin that pulled people out of their basements and stuff like that? Like,
yeah, I mean, there was a lot of destruction and they lost lots of people.
But be smart, be weather aware. This is how we're going to help your anxiety. You got to be weather aware. You got to be prepared. You got to have a spot. You need a radio. I bought a radio that also solar powered. So if like the power
I have one
goes
too,
out,
like a crank one.
And so that helps. You need to have a spot.
You need to have like water. Like we actually bought those 5-gallon container things of spring water, and then you can refill them. So you can either take them back to the store and swap them out. But we have a natural spring here that's free water. So we just like go and fill. Yeah, we just fill them up, and then we bought those reusable like lid things,
blankets,
to put on it.
Pillows. Like when it is severe weather time, have that plan and have that like a tote or something that has those things that you may not think of. Like this last time I had tennis shoes on and I had a raincoat because I was not thinking. And the reason why I would never think to do that, but because I went and helped people, the wife of the one house that the guy went into, she was in the bathtub and all she had on was slippers. And when you went in that house, glass was everywhere. So I'm thinking if it's going to hit, I want to wear shoes. Because if you're thinking you're in a rush, you may not think about it.
I also heard actually recently, I think on the radio, but to wear a bike helmet.
Yeah.
Have a bike helmet on your head. Yeah.
Debris hitting you.
I would have never been something I would have thought of because honestly, growing up in the area that we're in, my parents always told me, don't worry about the tornadoes. It'll never hit here. We live in kind of like a valley.
Yep.
So they were like, we kind of dip down, like you were saying.
Which is why I think
they
it
like
picks
pop
up
over, or they just.
Then you have my parents and my dad's like, get in the basement! Get in the basement!
Well, and we would still
hold on to anything. I'm like, but the kids outside are still playing. I don't care.
And we would still get on the basement, but my mom was always just like, it's gonna be fine. Like. Tornadoes never hit here.
And that probably helped your anxiety with them.
It did. It helped a lot because I was like, oh, we're fine. But now as an adult, I'm like, we're fine. And then
and the sirens go off, don't even move. I'm still in bed.
One hit the mall a couple years ago.
I think that was straight line winds.
Well, okay. But
I know.
They said one hit the mall, we'll say that. And then one hit like in a town very close to us. And then
it's like it goes north of us. It either south or north. It never. We're just in a sweet spot. I also heard that if one hits us, it can never go back up because of how we're positioned in a valley in a way.
So it'll just take us all out. Thanks. That really helps with my anxiety.
Well, while it's on the east side and we're on the west side, we better dip while we can before it comes back like a ping pong ball. I don't think that's real, but that's what I've heard.
Yeah. It's hard.
I don't know if that's true.
It's hard to know what's true, though, because I feel like they still don't know a lot about tornadoes. Like you still have all those people that are storm chasers. They're trying to figure out, I think, like
come out with new technology.
Yeah, and everything. But these last couple times, and I will with this writer that whatever they wrote in, like I've actually been a little bit more nervous more recently because I feel like they've been a lot more frequent. And then what I never remember ever happening. So I live 6 houses down from my mom, and I lived there like all throughout high school. And I never once remember having a tornado siren go off and an actual like fire marshal truck with an air horn.
What?
Has been coming through every time that there's
that
one.
Would freak me out more than
they're like,
actual
take cover, like with a megaphone.
In this neighborhood?
In this neighborhood, up and down our streets. And I'm like,
it's giving American Horror. And
I was like, oh my God, like this has never happened. Like, we're going down to the basement, people. This is real.
Don't let those people stress you out.
Well, it did.
That would creep me out.
Well, just because I was like, that's never happened. Like, we always get the alerts and all that stuff. But I'm like, if this truck is taking the time, like this emergency vehicle is literally coming through my neighborhood with a megaphone saying, take cover now, like seek cover, please, like go to your basement. I was like, okay, this is like serious.
Well, and if you know you're getting ready to have bad weather, a girl that I know, she doesn't have a basement. So when like she knows, and she lives alone, so she knows like, okay, we're going to probably have bad weather. They talk about it days in advance, the day of, hey, expect this, expect this. If you have somewhere else to go that has a basement, like she goes to her mom's house with the dog or whoever, a friend or whatever, do that ahead of time. Camp out in the basement. I know a lot of people that do that don't have a basement and they know it's coming, and just to be safe or whatever it may be, if you're lucky and you have a tornado shelter, to have that, like I said, plan ahead, because then your anxiety is not going to be as high of, oh crap, it's here. Where do I go? Because if you're like me at my house, all of my rooms have outside walls. So there's not a good room to take cover in, because they say try to pick a room that has indoor walls. Luckily we have a basement, but that's another way to help ease your anxiety too, is the day of, and you pay attention, you're watching the news, just, hey, you know someone, hey, do you mind if I just even, and then if it doesn't hit, then you can go home. Yeah. But be safe, and I'm sure no one's going to be like, no, you can't come here. Yes, people are going to be like, absolutely.
Oh, for sure. I do think our old house was all one level, and like we had like all outside walls. Yeah. And I remember we had a storm shelter, but it was out in the yard. Like we lived on an acre of land, so we would have had to like run to our storm shelter and get in
Twister
there. Yes, the movie Twister. I mean, I always think about that, but I'm like, I told my husband, I was like, I will literally die in this tornado, then go into that storm shelter. There were spiders like that
How
big,
I feel about my
basement.
basement.
I was like, no, thank you, not doing it. And I remember there was this like the tornado sirens went off. Yep. And I'm terrified of tornadoes, actually. So I'm not helping with advice here. I'm so sorry.
She really hates them.
It's just one of my, like, probably my bigger fears. I don't know.
No, it's fine.
But I literally darted into like this closet and never told my husband.
You were just in there, and he was like, Hannah.
He was like in the shower, and he was like, thanks a lot. Like, you went and covered, and you never let me know that like I needed to take cover.
That is selfish.
It was
also
selfish.
Hilarious. But also, I don't know if your parents ever told you this growing up. Why can't you shower when it's storming?
Because you'll get electrocuted.
From what?
I don't know. I still don't do it though. That's hilarious.
From what?
If lightning hits you.
You're in the shower. The light's out there. Is the lightning going to come through the water?
I don't know.
I've never understood that. I don't understand. And that's like not saying it's a yes, obviously I'm not going to shower if there's tornado warnings and potential tornado watches. But if it's just a regular thunderstorm, my parents were like, no, you cannot. And I'm like, but I need to. They're like, no.
That's
don't
so funny.
Even look at the shower.
All the things that we were told, and we're like, we took it as fact.
Sinking sand, or what's it called, quicksand?
What?
Why did we have? We're so off topic. But why did we have the biggest fear of quicksand as kids?
Oh,
I've never been around quicksand.
They're like, whatever you do, don't move. If you move, you will get sucked in way faster.
At the beach, 5 years old. Because you know the water, the sea and sand.
Oh, when you sink into it. That's funny.
That's a whole other episode. Anyways, back to your anxiety. We're so sorry we got off topic with this.
And we probably made your anxiety worse. I'm really sorry.
I hope we made you laugh, though. I do think the most important way to ease it is be prepared. Watch the news. We watch a guy, Ryan something. I don't know his last name. He's on YouTube because we don't have cable, so we can't watch the weather. Yeah. And he's been like, he'll get down to the street of where that tornado's on. Like
that's
he is
crazy.
Yeah, he's really good. So find him on YouTube. Ryan Hall, that's his name.
Okay.
He's a good one. So like we're prepared that way because we have that on when we know that weather's coming in. We have things ready. We have like the basement ready or the room ready. We have shoes on just in case. We have the harnesses on the dogs in case we have to go to. So you think ahead, because if you don't, it's better to be prepared than to not be, and then your anxiety's really going, and then that's how you're going to get hurt.
And I mean, they do say that you should have like go bags.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't have one.
I mean, I don't know. Obviously, you can't necessarily.
I do be getting hungry though during the storm.
Just get some MREs.
I'd be stress eating.
Well, you can't guarantee that your bag isn't going to like fly away, but I still think it's good to have one just there, just in case.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. But anyways, I know we didn't. We probably. Well, we're trying to help your anxiety. Really, it's just, unfortunately, that's just how it's going to be, and it's going to just get worse because of weather manipulation. Conspiracy side.
Weather manipulation is a better word, I feel like.
I think, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it is. If that's probably a whole nother episode.
That's a whole other episode. Conspiracy theories. That's my problem. Anyways, but just be smart and be prepared. And I think another good one is if you're kind of nervous or getting a little bit worried, to call and talk to somebody too. Like keep them on the phone, because that's going to help calm you.
And unfortunately, it is out of your control. Like, you are at the mercy of Mother Nature. So, you have to just be as prepared as you can be in the safest spot that you can be. And honestly, I pray when I'm, like, nervous like that. And and I, even, like, in the Joplin tornado documentary, there was a guy that was like, I was just praying, like, that entire time. And he was like, God was so faithful to me. And he let me survive that. And he was like, and my parents too. And he didn't, he came out of that and didn't even know. He thought he was like
resurrection.
He thought,
that's not right.
The rapture. He thought the rapture had happened. And he was like, I didn't think that God took me because I was gay. And
so he was like trying to go.
He was like blaming himself. He's like, oh man, whatever. But then he had such an amazing like outcome from that and story from that, because he's like, then I just realized that like God was really faithful to me.
It kept me. Yeah. Crazy. I know.
But that's cool.
We hope that helped a little bit. If anybody else has any tips and tricks, please comment below. And because I think we could all use it. We could all use some guidance on whether, because what might work for me may not work for you, because I like to stand on the porch and see which direction the tornado is coming, whereas Hannah's in the basement prepared with a helmet on, which is perfectly fine. I'm getting yelled at because I'm on the porch watching.
Can Zach and I just take cover together?
Because Josh is out the porch. We need
That's what I'm like. Josh is out in the driveway like, wow, the sky's like really yellow right now and like green.
The dad stands. I think it's going to come from that way. Wind's picking up. Sky's looking a little green. What did they say? Green means dead or something like that? Like,
oh, yeah. And my husband always says if you hear like a freight train starting to come, like if
you are in a place that you do have tornadoes, which I'm sure if anyone grows up that there are tornadoes, I'm sure you're a lot more factual and educated than what we are. But I did learn that if you were near a tornado and it does not look like it's moving, that's because it's coming at you in a direct line.
Yes.
And I saw it live on the Ryan Hall YouTube because a guy was tracking tornadoes and he was watching it. And I was like, wow, that's just like sitting there at the trees because it's coming towards him. Like I knew it was, but I'm like, you see it live and you're like, it literally does look like it's just not moving.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's so another just a little tippity trick if you see one and you're out and about, because like highways and stuff like that, you can't control it. And don't hide under a highway.
Yeah. The overpass, yeah.
You'll get sucked out. That's a lie. That was always a lie. Watch Twisters.
Twister 2 taught me that.
It's a good movie. Anyways, we're getting off topic again. We got to get together. Stay tuned for our next episode on Thursday. Make sure to follow us on our social medias. And they are
TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. And don't forget to add your own submissions, your own dilemmas
on our Instagram.
It's in our bio line. You can click on our link for SurveyMonkey. That's what it's through. And then we don't know who submitted what. It's 100% anonymous. Yep. But that is the easiest way to find our link.
Absolutely. We'll see you next episode.